Hello everybody, here we are today talking about the Charlie Lindgren extension as well as the fact that the Washington Capitals have their goalie duo locked up for a bit now. But before we get started with it, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So this has been a fantastic year for Washington. They are 2 wins away from matching their win total last year and can do it in 20 less games, which is very impressive. They sit not only, near the top of the league, they are second in the league. So nearly at the peak of the mountain, and they sit at the top of the Eastern Conference. They are simply not just winning, they are winning a lot. And it's not just all totally related to on the ice. I think off the ice there's been a lot of good things, including these extensions. Charlie Lindgren's could be one of those. So Charlie ends up signing a deal today, 3-year extension with a $3 million AAV, with the cap rising especially too. I think this is going to look really good. Now, Lindgren is a unique kind of case here as a guy that really didn't get a great opportunity until he was about 30, and last season ended up getting nearly as many games that he had played in his career beforehand, but was able to really make the most of that in that situation. He had 6 shutouts last year and was part of a Washington team that was a surprise playoff side. And I know that a lot of times we kind of look at things and say, well, his numbers don't look as good this year as they did last year, but think of it like this. We can talk about some other teams that have bad starting goalie situations, and I think in this case right now, we're talking about a backup goalie for Washington on a cheap deal that had 6 shutouts last year. I mean, again, this is going to be a very blessed situation to be in when you realize that your backup could possibly take over like he did last year. So this, paired with the fact that Logan Thompson has got an extension this year too, a 6-year extension, has me really excited, especially because Logan Thompson is having a career year and has just 4 regulation losses in 34 games this season. It's been incredible the run that he's been on, but I think also too, with him and Lindgren, Logan Thompson's workload doesn't have to be as bad as maybe some other starting goalies, which could be fantastic news for the Capitals here, as their goalies probably both won't be very exhausted. You won't have a guy doing 60, 65 starts. You have somebody that got to play in the playoffs last year, another guy that's already got goalie experience or playoff experience as a goalie, that both have, again, secure contract statuses and have proven within this year and last year that they can really step up in key moments for themselves and for the team. And this is why I think that I'm so excited for Washington, knowing that, Logan Thompson, or of course in this case Charlie Lindgren, have a bad game. You can just swap it out. Not every team has that benefit. And we talked about it before and again and over so many times. I truly think that a big difference maker, maybe the biggest difference maker you could have in the league, is having a good starting goalie and a good backup goalie. And not only that, I think it's the fact that they are on relatively cheap deals, and that could be a massive difference maker as you have teams that have, again, really good goalies that are getting paid, more than this, or will be soon when their deal kicks into effect. Igor Shesterkin is a prime example of this. He is going to be getting about $11.5 million a year for the AAV, and is a goalie that, again, former Vezina winner, been on some good New York teams, but they're not in a playoff spot right now. And so Washington can say, well, right now, things are looking better for us than they are for you. And on top of that, we can just allocate the money in a better spot to more players, where some teams are a little bit more top heavy. And I would say that for Washington's case, this is fantastic, knowing that you are spending this little on good goaltending, and there's other good contracts out there for this team. I think Protas and then of course Dylan Strome are great examples of this. Both of these guys are making $5 million or less. Protas is making less than $3.5 million a year, I think. And these are 2 younger players that are doing really well. Protas obviously is much younger, having a breakout year. Dylan Strome has proven to be, again, a guy that has done very well in Washington. And I said this in the summer. Washington has been able to bring in maybe some of these rejects like Strome and then PLD and some of these other examples and see success. And there's plenty of other examples on this team, in my opinion. And I think that what I'm really hoping for at the end of the day is that the results match up with the standings, because Washington maybe is one of those teams that will finish top of the league in the standings or near the top. But I do worry a little bit about what that star power could be. And I know that, at a certain point, you kind of need to have players step up in the moment. But I think at a certain time, too, depth is so pivotal to going out there and going on deep runs in the playoffs. Because, yeah, Dylan Strome and Protas are 2 examples of guys that probably shouldn't be anywhere near your top 3 players for your team if you want to win a cup. But if you have so many lines that are saying, we feel confident if we roll out 3-4 lines, and we feel confident in these pairings, we feel great about our goalie situation, it's hard to imagine that this team wouldn't have good results at the end of the day. And before, we've seen other teams that are pretty deep. Carolina is a great example of that, where they are able to go on consistently good runs, where they might go out and make it to at least the Eastern Conference final. And that's why I'm excited for Washington especially. Obviously, every team is shooting for much more, but I think at the same time, too, considering the fact that the Capitals haven't had any playoff success since 2018. A trip to the Eastern Conference Final would be like heaven, especially with Ovi possibly being on the verge of breaking Wayne Gretzky's goal record, and a trip to at least the Stanley Cup Final would be absolutely insane. I say at least because that's as far as you can go, but if they won it, it would be incredible. But I don't want them to be one of those teams where we talk about, well, in a series, maybe they just weren't able to get enough done, but they've proven throughout the course of the year they can score a lot of goals. They are going to probably have guys that can get hot at the right time, especially defensively, and I would like to say that this could be just, again, maybe some of the Golden Misfits vibe, maybe not to the total extent of what we saw in Vegas, but just some of the castaways, if you will, or some of the guys that aren't getting as much coverage. I think it may help that Ovi is obviously going out there and chasing the record, so the team might get more coverage, but I can still say adamantly that people aren't talking necessarily about Charlie Lindgren as, the X factor for a team winning a cup, when he very well could play a massive role in a series where, obviously forbid Logan Thompson getting injured, or if he just has a bad series, you can swap him out, and then maybe that is able to push them on to that next round where they can say, if we didn't have Charlie Lindgren on this extension, or just, with him being on the team in the coming years, we couldn't do that. But this also translates to the regular season, to having them there, 1-2 punch, less of a workload, probably better realistic expectations, but also good results in the regular season as well to help out with those playoff matchups. And so this is why I'm very excited. It's not just about the good contracts for him and Thompson, but I think in general, a lot of these really, really good contracts for the team. And kind of circling back to the final point, talking about Charlie, I am thrilled for him. This is not often that you get to see a player that has the path that he has, that, could have just been written off and not had the career that he's had in the league. And yes, I know he's not going out there and making bank, but to be a player in his 30s that is getting kind of this nice contract to be on a team that is competing for the President's Trophy is certainly an amazing story here, and a great example of why you never want to give up. And for Washington, as they get closer and closer to the season, as a train is coming, and I hear it in the background, we'll just say that it is a go horn. But for the Capitals and Lindgren, I really am hoping for success here. Hoping for him and guys like Carberry, where they might not have been the flashiest of names, that they can prove the league wrong in this regard. And I don't know how it'll all play out this year, but I do feel pretty confident about Washington in the coming years probably being in a good position to outcompete some other teams in the Metro. I don't really know if it will be necessarily that they're winning the division every year, but with other teams like Pittsburgh not doing very well, and some other sides that just don't seem like they are going to be in a great spot, like the Islanders in a couple of seasons, I would love to see this team go on a tear and kind of reclaim the spot that they were in before, even though this roster looks completely different from that 2018 team. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the Lindgren extension, the tandem in net with him and Thompson? Where do they rank in the league? And what are your thoughts on more of these good affordable deals for Washington? Is it going to be enough to get over the hump? Do they have enough depth, or are they going to need more star power? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And Eagle of Hawk, y'all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.